I'm your host, Darlene Price, and tonight it's Monday. It's been a long day, so I've already mispronounced my own name. What's that tell you? We'll get through it though, folks. Tonight we have the jailer debate tonight. And before we get started, first off, we want to thank our live studio audience for showing up tonight. How about a round of applause? We also want to thank our timekeeper, Attorney Josh Lowe with the County Attorney's Office. And he forgot his paddles, but that's okay. We'll forgive him. And we have behind the scenes the guy that makes everything go on technical wise, Michael the magical technology man. And we also want to thank our benefactor on NBR TV, Mr. Steve Hall, the hero of the day, has kept us on the air. It's Monday. That has kept us on the air for 15 years. Poor man, I don't know how he puts up with us. How about a big round of applause for Steve Hall and NBR TV? Okay, really quickly, I want to address something. I want to take a minute of time. You guys will still have plenty of time to answer questions and everything. I want to take a quick minute to answer something. I've been getting inundated with private messages and emails regarding a piece of property that was voted to purchase by the fiscal court last Thursday. This piece of property was a purchase for the future upgrading and stuff for the ambulance service in 911. And people are just asking a lot of questions, and some of the questions I'm getting are, well, why aren't you going after them? It costs a lot of money. Why aren't you going after them like you went after America? Well, comparing this property purchase to what Ameritech did is like comparing not just apples and oranges, it's like comparing an apple and the Goodyear blimp, okay? Let us recall Ameritech brought in over 60 million gallons of toxic waste, ran it through a defective wastewater treatment plant, and probably poisoned the whole Cumberland River, okay? Not to mention, he spent about $1.5 million on a fake university, and his family made some money off of that. It never happened. That was taxpayer money, by the way. And then he spent about $40,000 on high-end resort vacations all at the city's dime and then raised everybody's taxes. Okay, that's why I went after Ameritech. Okay, there's a big difference between what happened with this fiscal court purchase. Now, from what I have looked at, this purchase was done legally. It was done transparently. It was researched. It was talked about in prior meetings. Then it was brought before the public. People voted on it. I think we even had a magistrate vote against it, and it was voted on, okay? Now, people on Facebook, you may have an opinion about whether this is a good or bad business deal, okay? Well, as Truth or Politics, an investigative reporter, I don't deal with people's opinions about whether something is smart, not smart, okay? What we deal with is we deal with facts and we deal with evidence. And until somebody comes to me with evidence that there was something wrong with this purchase, then, you guys can out in Google, and you guys might have Google degrees and property values and stuff like that. My degree is in criminology. I have a law degree. I don't have a Google degree in opinions. So I'm not going to have an opinion about this. That's up to you all to have your opinions out there. But as far as coming to me and sending me a bazillion emails and Facebook messages about this being either non-transparent or not legal some way or sketchy, if somebody used the word sketchy, this was done, researched, it was transparent, it was talked about in prior meetings, and then it was voted on, and it was done legally. Now, opinions about it, I don't deal in opinions, I deal in facts and evidence, okay? So, please spare me all the emails and questions and everything about that unless you have some evidence to the contrary. Okay, now, moving right along. Thank you very much for that. Sorry about that, but I had to address that real quick because I'm getting just fired up with questions about it. Okay, rules. Questions will be asked by the moderator. Each candidate will have the same opportunity to answer the same questions. The answers will be timed. When the moderator states, or actually when timekeeper states time, or does this little hand, what are you doing now?
That's when you're at halftime. this is when your time's up, that way I don't have to speak over you, okay?
Okay, there you go. When it's your time to answer, you may spend your time responding to a previous comment or answer, or you may spend your time entirely on the current question. Each candidate will have a timed open and closing remarks. The candidates have been given more than ample time to make those. Wait a minute, you're already here. Sorry. Candidates will not interrupt each other. You must wait until it's your time to speak. We ask that all candidates and audience members please silence your cell phones. We already did that. We ask that the audience members do not interrupt the candidates while they are answering the questions. The citizens watching and listening to these debates want to know what the candidates have to say, not the audience. Okay, we're going to start off with opening statements. Everybody will have a minute. We're going to start off with him. You'll be first this time, you'll be first next time, and you'll go around. So everybody will have the luxury of being first about a question or something. So first we'll start off with a 1 minute opening statement, and at the end everybody will get to do a closing statement as well. Okay, so 1 minute opening statement we'll start with, and your time starts when you start speaking. So if you need me to ask the question again, that me re-asking the question won't interfere with your time. It starts when you start answering the question. Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Jones. I'm your candidate for jailer for McCreary County. I've got about 100 years worth of experience from employees that I would like to bring onto the department. I'd like to bring a transparent department that's going to be able to be not self-sustained, but bring revenue to the department, such as starting the home incarceration program that the county operates to bring the money to the county. I'd like to start the litter pickup. I'd like to start not just with that, but having a cemetery mow crew. That way our inmates can go out and mow the cemeteries. That make the county look better and be a burden off of the families. I'm number 6 on the ballot. Remember me May 19th. I appreciate it.
Jesse, your turn.
My name is Jesse Hatfield. I'm running for jailer, transport chief officer, and my wife is Sherry Hatfield. And I got one daughter. Her name is Jessica Hatfield Musgrove. And I'd like to say that this home incarceration deal and stuff, you can't do that unless the judge operates you to do it, gives you permission to do it. And we've been doing that for 11.5 years. And I don't know, these people act like we ain't, that this is something that we just got started, but we ain't. We've been doing it for 11.5 years. And I'm running on a Republican ticket. And I'd like to ask each and every one of you spoke for me. This is my 4th term as jailer, so I must be doing something right. And I appreciate all my support.
My name is Cody Stevens. I'm a Republican candidate for jailer in McCreary County. I have about 11 years of law enforcement experience, working on 12 right now. My platform, same as Mr. Jones is stating, I want to do litter pickup. If we're going to be located in Woodland County, there's no reason why not to. Maintain cemeteries that's not been maintained. I also want to help inmates who doesn't have high school diplomas obtain GEDs and job skills training upon release, to help them to get gainful employment upon release. I would also like to help inmates who wish to get help with drug treatment.
Hello, my name is Derek Jones. This is my 3rd time running for jailer. I'm a 1989 graduate of McCreary Central High School. I've studied criminal justice and law enforcement technology at Somerset Community College and University of Kentucky. I am a former firefighter and a rescue squad member. I also served with McCreary County Police Department AmeriCorps prior to the jail being closed. And that was back in 2006. I am also honorably discharged with the Kentucky Army National Guard and with the United States Army. I did 1 combat tour with 1st Armored Division with the United States Army, the Persian Gulf, and also did a Cold War tour in Bamberg, Germany. I'm currently the Senior Transport Officer for Jailer Jesse Hatfield. I've been helping Jesse for about 6 years now. My goals as a jailer is to restructure, reorganize jailer operations. I want to bring the jailer office into compliance with a lot of the Department of Corrections regulations. I want to make the jailer office community oriented.
Fine.
Thank you.
I went first.
See, I told you I was like, okay. So you're going first this time. Okay, describe, and I think a lot of this comes up from, because I had a lot of different questions and I kind of worked them into ones. Why do we have a jailer if there's no jail, that kind of thing. So I came up with this question, and I'm hoping it's correct with what the public wants a question. Describe what you believe is the job description and day-to-day responsibilities of the position of jailer, even though we don't have a jail. So in other words, as transport officer, and please be specific.
1 to 2 minutes.
Let's do 1 minute.
Well, the reason it's a law, we have to have a jailer even though we've got a closed jail. And when you got a closed jail, everything we do has to be run through fiscal court. The fiscal court has to prove everything we do, and we transport inmates when they get arrested to jail, and we bring them to court every week, 2 or 3 times a week. And that's our job, to bring the court and stuff. And we also, these people think that they can get the county checkbook when they become jailers. That's not right. Everything has to be run through fiscal court. Fiscal court mostly makes all the decisions. All we are is a jailer, chief transport officer. We transport inmates, and that's what we do. And like I say, we just bring the court, transport inmates, and we've all got our training up to date, each and every one of them. We all got video, audio, cameras in it.
Could you repeat the question?
Describe what you believe is the job description and day-to-day responsibilities of the position of jailer or aka transport officer, and please be specific.
Okay. Transport officer. Sorry about that. Jailer is a constitutional office, so as a jailer Hatfield stated, it is required by law to have that. When you don't have a jail, your responsibility primarily is transportation of inmates to detention facilities. Sometimes they have to go to the hospital if they've been injured during an arrest or prior to an arrest. So you have to do that, have to make sure they make all court appearances. But also, as I stated earlier, when our inmates, if they're going to be housed in Whitley County, then the responsibility can also become running programs such as litter abatement programs, cemetery cleanups, and programs such as that. You can do that as well. The primary responsibility is transportation of inmates, ensure their safety, public safety, and the transport officer's safety at all times.
This is Derek Jones. Pretty much everything like Cody and Jesse said right there, but there's also a little more. And we get kind of nervous on here, you know, talking, and I know these guys want to say a lot more, and there's some things we also forget. So I'm just going to add on to what they said. You know, we also do bonds. We assign court dates. We also collect child support payments through the bonds. You know, we work with you know, the fiscal court. As Cody mentioned, some of these programs that we're going to do is you know, rehab recovery programs. We also want to do litter control programs, stuff like community service programs, and then prisoner work details, 2 separate programs. It's a full-time job, folks. I mean, it's just not like it's a part-time job. And Jesse Tate, you know, it's a 24/7 thing. You work holidays. You're out here. Me and him been up since before 6 o'clock. We took 30 people from jail. Thank you.
Alex Jones. So, like they said, it is a constitutional office. However, there's a lot more to it that's not been said, like maintaining your paperwork, making sure that your inmates are at court when they're supposed to be, ensuring that you have all the right documentations, the transport orders. You're there to assist the court, but if you don't show up and do your job, then our inmates are going to be running free and wild. It is our responsibility to ensure that they are where they need to be, they are safe, and everything's taken care of.
Everybody answered that one, yes? Okay. Let's give 2 2 minutes for this one. This question revolves around training. What type of training is required, if any, to meet the requirements of this office, for example, academic, physical, etc.? And do you believe that just like the state police, jailers should have recurrent training? And what should that be? So what training is required, and do you believe we should have recurrent training?
Toby.
2 minutes.
I absolutely believe that jailers should have training. The training that I want to implement is yearly firearms qualifications, TASER certifications, OC certifications, use of force. I also want to provide training to recognize individuals that suffer with mental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, and how to respond to those individuals. Because if you know how to do that, we may be able to de-escalate situations without anybody getting injured. Yearly training, this training will be yearly. It would have to be on a continued basis. The transport officers couldn't pass the training after a few times of trying to help correct them and assist them, then we would just have to find someone else. I believe that transport officers should be highly professional and highly trained, not only for their safety, but the safety of the inmates and the safety of the citizens of the county. So training is 100% going to be a focus under my administration if elected.
This is Derek Jones. Every candidate here has got some form of certification, background, education, training, whether it be military, college education, or academy training. I think training is very important. We are required by law to present fiscal court with a training schedule. And once that training schedule is submitted, it doesn't mean it's going to be a changing, because times change, situations change, training gets updated. So I'm going to be drafting a new training schedule, and I'll be adding Kentucky Department of Justice training. I'm also going to add in-service training at our contracted jails, so our folks know how to do a job inside a correctional facility. Also, Kentucky Bar Commission training. They offer some great programs. We participated in them before. I just finished Grant Writing 101 this past weekend. Last year, Jesse and us, we went up and did driver's training through Kentucky Bar Commission. Also, we got a 2-year, we're required by law for 2-year medical certification.
You've got about 58
Okay.
seconds left.
Also, annual firearms, and I'd like to see us get non-lethal training, hand-to-hand training. Jesse's good for keeping us on the Crimcast. That's about averages between 23 to 26 hours a year. It's online training. It's very informative. If anybody's never taken it and want to look into it, or they can, as I said, it's very informative. Been doing it 6 years. I'm about 130 hours into the DOC, Kentucky DOC training certifications. Thank you.
Alex Jones. So I am a Kentucky Certified Peace Officer through the Department of Criminal Justice Training, and I do believe that training is a necessity in the job. However, I see where it lacks. I see the lack of it now, and I see where it needs to be improved at. Under my administration, I have an individual that I'm going to bring in that's going to do all the in-house training. Not only that, but I'm going to make it mandated to where there is driver's training, which is a necessity for operating a motor vehicle for emergency services. Not only that kind of training, but I want to have trainings on evidence collection, because as you know, we're dealing with people that's been arrested. There's going to be potential that you're going to have to collect evidence. I find that training is very important, and the only way to do it is by doing it the right way. Also, I believe that, like they said about the firearm training, I believe that every transport officer shall carry a firearm, not for their protection, not for the inmate's protection, but for the entire protection of all the people involved. You never know what's going to happen. I also believe that when we are transporting our inmates, that we need to have a policy and procedure manual, which we do not have at this time for the Jailers Association or Jailers Office. I've currently started working on one, and one of those is training. So remember me May 19th, and you'll see a difference when you're with your Jailer's Office.
We have a policy and procedure book that shows these people, they don't know what they talk about a lot of times. But, our officers, we've got full training, they've done all their trim cast training. I've had all my training done. I go 2 times a year for my training. So they can say what they want to, but I mean, every transport officer's got all their training in, their training hours, and I've got my training in too. So they can't say that we ain't got our training in. I think if we didn't have the training in, I wouldn't be doing this job for 11 and a half years. Because when I go to the conference, if I ain't got the training in, Crimcast will not let you transport if you ain't got your training in. That's the first thing they check when I go to training. And DOC, they won't allow you to transport if you don't have your training in.
As Mr. Hatfield said, the jailers and the deputy jailers do currently do the Crimcast. That was a requirement when I done it as well. However, that is the minimum requirement from the state that you have to, that has to be completed minimally. I believe in going above and beyond in training, bettering yourself every year, because things are constantly evolving in the world of law enforcement. Constantly, new laws, new policies and procedures, things are constantly changing. We have to keep on top of it. Training has to evolve as well.
Okay, everybody answer that one. This will be a 1-minute one. What will be your policy, and this is based on, this is one of my questions, based on, I don't know if you've been following or not, what happened in Kentucky over here with the Doug Harris case. And I know that was cops and you guys were in the transport officers, but still, you know, there's a big question hanging, and a lot of that is because those cops did not have body cameras. So the question is, what will your policy regarding body cameras be for transport officers and why? 1 minute.
This is Derek Jones. I think body camera is a great tool that needs to be used. Unfortunately, we do not have the resources or the equipment provided by the county for us to utilize it. A couple of transport officers do own personal body cameras for their own personal safety, but you know, we can't use that in court against anybody because that has to be downloaded to a secure server. I feel that body cameras are beneficial. I think we do need them. Our cruisers currently have cameras on board. We need to upgrade those that cloud account so it's more active. And it currently takes a picture that's every 6 to 8 minutes. So that needs to be upgraded and changed as well. There's a lot of equipment that the jailer's office needs, and we struggle every year, you know, trying to get more equipment. Thank you.
Alex Jones. So I think that body cams are a fantastic idea, and it would be great to see that the jailer's office was able to obtain those. Like Derek was stating, the vehicles, they have cameras in them, but they take pictures every 6 to 8 minutes. That's irrelevant. What's a picture going to do? Don't catch everything. I have done spoke with some individuals, and we can upfit the vehicles to have a cloud system DVR that records audio, video around the clock. That could be beneficial to the employee. What if there's an allegation made? Let's protect our people.
Well, we have got all updated equipment. When I first started, all we had was no junk van, 2 old Crown Vics that worked over here. Now we've got all new vehicles and vans. They have got audio, video in them. And that's, them body cams, I mean, when we get in the car, that audio, video, it tells everything we do in there, so I don't know what more you need in the car. So we are up to date on all the equipment. Well, they got far-on training and all that.
Cody Stevens. I feel like body cams are an absolute necessity. I will get body cams. Excuse me. I will check and make sure all of our vehicles are equipped. As of the moment, I do not believe that they are filming consistently the entire transport. It has to be filmed constantly, as Mr. Jones stated. A picture every few minutes isn't going to tell anything that occurs. Evidence can be hid, anything can happen. Body cameras, I feel like, should be worn from the time the officer arrives at the jail to the time that they place them in the vehicle. At that point, the vehicle camera, I'm fine with that picking back up at that point. But cameras are a necessity for protection of the transport officers, the inmates, and once again, the public. There's grants also available that I will apply for to get the equipment that is needed.
Back now.
Okay, everybody else?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that all elected officials, especially anyone involved in law enforcement and incarceration, should have to take periodic random drug screenings? Yes or no, and why? And we'll just do 1 minute on
Absolutely. I think everybody should have to take a drug screen, whether you're an elected official or you're an employee. It shows your character, if we can trust you or not. If you can't be trusted, then you don't need the office. And you can't be trusted if you're using some kind of substance.
Yeah, I believe everybody needs to be drug tested. I know every time we hire someone, they have to go get drug tested over at the doctor, make sure they ain't on drugs, that comes back negative for drugs. And I believe the county, they do random drug tests, and I wouldn't care if they give me a drug test every day. I mean, I'm not on drugs, and I don't believe none of my transport officers are either. I'll be welcome for them to give us a drug test any day of the week.
I absolutely agree. Drug testing is necessary. Drug testing should be on a consistent and random basis. Like Mr. Jones stated earlier, if you're on substances, then you don't need to be wearing a badge of any sort. It just puts everybody's safety at risk. So I'm absolutely for consistent and random drug testing.
This is Derek Jones. Well, we support drug testing, but also we're talking about medical issues as well. We've got Department of Transportation regulations that require, anybody involved, especially in government or, private enterprises that's involved in an accident to have to do a drug test within 24 hours of the accident. I also would like to see the Jailer's office contract with local physicians to do house calls at her ESO or at the Jailer's office for medical issues with prisoners. And also be able to respond to contamination or exposure to drugs. Every one of us, you see at this table, we deal with fentanyl and meth, and we take off these people every arrest. And there has been incidents where our officers have been hospitalized due to exposure. We don't do drugs.
Everybody answer that, right? Okay. This is kind of a little bit more complicated question. We'll give him 2 minutes on this one. In reference to gender, what are the pitfalls and hardships of males transporting females and females transporting male inmates? And what improvements or changes would you make regarding this? 2 minutes.
Well, we transport males and females all the time, but I mean, we have got a male and female employees, so when we can get a female to transport a female, we do that. But sometimes we have to transport a female, a male does, and sometimes a female has to transport a male. But we got, like I say, audio, video in them cars, and they've got tracking systems on them. That tracking system will print out every time you hit your brakes or if you stop, and it tells how long you stop, how long that car idles. that tracking system, it just spreads out the whole trip. So, I don't think we got any problem with it. But I'd like to have more female officers to transport females.
As the jailer stated, we kind of have a lack of female transport officers. There's more males than there are females. Unfortunately, I think that's just, a lot of females aren't interested in the position. I'm not sure. I would like, as he stated, to attempt to deploy several more female transport officers. However, if that can't happen, and in reality it may not, then it is very important to have the cameras in the vehicles that are on a constant recording cycle, because then that covers the transport officer, whether it be male or female. There's video proof that nothing occurred. Now, if you have an individual who's arrested who has sexual tendencies, and it's safer, then at that point I would have 2 transport officers do the transport, just to protect the transport officers.
This is Derek Jones. Unfortunately, the jailer's office is understaffed and under-equipped. As Jesse mentioned, he's got 1 female officer, and, she works another job. So there's some things that we have to adapt and we have to do when we handle a prisoner of the opposite sex. And one of those things is searches. We do not search and do pat-downs on our females. But we do, when we get to the detention center, we request female officers to come out into the Sally Port, and they conduct the searches on female and female. Now, we also do searches on our personal vehicle, not personal, but our transport officer vehicles, transport vehicles. We do a pre-trip, post-trip on that to ensure there's no contraband or anything that's being taken into these correctional facilities. So if the female dumps something in our car, we know where it comes from. Also, we need new surveillance equipment. We also need new cloud account where, as Cody mentioned, these videos are continuously running. As Jesse mentioned, these vehicles are being tracked. As we mentioned before, with the body cams, it is important that we have these body cams not only to protect ourselves, but also protect the prisoners. Thank you.
Alex Jones, and as is mentioned, I agree with Mr. Stevens. The vehicles are tracked. I will say that. However, it only takes a picture every 6 to 8 minutes, which is an issue. There could be any kind of allegation made in that time frame. A picture will not catch that. I also agree that with the search situation, however, I do know for a fact that within the last year or so, the post and pre-trips were not conducted, and there was a lot of narcotics found inside our transport vehicles. More narcotics than most people find in a year on the street. That's a problem. So I would like to get a grant to get a body scanner for our inmates here, that way they can run through a body scanner before they even leave. Then we know if there's something there, let's take them and get them medically cleared. Thank you.
Okay, you ready to answer that one? Okay. Okay, this will be a 1-minute one. Trash pickup. What will be your policy on letting inmates come and pick up trash? Because we definitely have a trash problem in our community. Will you be willing to do that? And because I know we're going to be moving closer, hopefully, pretty soon. What will be your policy on inmates picking up trash?
Cody Stevens. My policy on inmates picking up trash, as I stated earlier, if they're going to be located in Whitley County, I want to take inmates who owe fines, inmates who has smaller, pettier crimes. Instead of having them sit in jail and cost the taxpayers more money, we can have them do trash pickup, cemetery cleanup, and in turn for that, they can get days knocked off their sentence or fines eliminated for the work that they conduct. I would have transport officers pick them up several days a week, and we would just have a schedule on what roadways we would be cleaning that week. We would obviously have marked vehicles and uniformed officers with lights for safety reasons. And every week we would just rotate different cleanup areas.
This is Derek Jones. I've been picking up litter here in McCreary County for 25 years. This year, if you can follow my Facebook page, you've noticed that I've been posting pictures and updates As of now, I'm 142 bags in litter that's been picked up. And McCreary County government has been very helpful in, recovering those bags when I pick them up. I just give the judge's office a call. He sends crew out there and they take care of it. I'm also active with the Adopt a Highway program. I also am active with the VFW Adopt a Highway program where we do monthly cleanups on 1651 from Whitney City to Marshall Siding. We are also actively participating in the Cumberland Falls spring cleanup. As jailer, this is not going to be debated, folks. As jailer, I am bringing prisoner work details back here. I'll get with the judge executive so we can sign a contract with the Whitley County or the Knox County judge executive and the jailer, where we take care of these people. We will be responsible for their safety.
Alex Jones, so litter cleanup is something that I mentioned from the get-go. I've heard a lot of rumor about the magistrates talking about it, the judge executive talking about it, and everybody talking about it. However, about 3-4 months ago, maybe longer than that, I sat down and spoke with the judge executive and I advised him of my plans and my intentions. I mentioned the litter cleanup. We talked about it and it's been a go ever since. I've heard it from everybody, that everybody's interested in it, everybody loves it. I 110% want to do that. Not only am I going to do that, I want to maintain our cemeteries. I think that our inmates should do something to show respect for the people that are in their final resting places. Thank you.
Well, they're talking about a lot of litter pickup at Knox County. We can't go over and get them inmates and bring them over here to pick up litter. Time we drive 3 hours going over there and getting them, bring them back, and then taking them back. That's 6 hours, an 8-hour day. They'd just be here 2 hours. You wouldn't get much done. But when you go to Whitley County, that's just like 25 minutes over. And I'm sure we can do litter abatement then. I mean, we can bring some to the transfer station. They can work over there. We can work out on the road, pick up garbage. But we've got 2 full-time employees, and that'd be something they could do. Okay, when we get to Whitley County, we won't be transporting inmates to Whitley County because the sheriffs and the state police will be doing it on their own, taking them over. But today we cannot do litter abatement because we're working out here. We don't know when someone's going to get arrested or when they ain't. And when they get arrested, we have to go take them to the transporter. So we can't do litter abatement and transport inmates too.
Everybody already did that? Okay. Sorry, it's hard for me to keep up, it's Monday. Okay, next question. Do you think that technology could better serve the jailer's employees in doing their jobs? And what technology would you choose to use? 1 minute.
Hi, this is Derek Jones. Well, one thing we don't have much of is technology in the jailer's office. Poor Jesse does the best he can with what little he has. He's got a 50-year-old desk and a 40-year-old landline. We have no computers. We got to rely on assistance from the sheriff's office, the clerk's office, and the judge executive's office to help Jesse do his job. And he's been doing that for 12 years and does the best he can. We need computers. We need better camera systems. Technology is always changing, and that our technology as we get it has to be upgraded over time. Right now, I'd be happy just to get the leftovers from the sheriff's office, but we can't even get that. So there's a lot of work involved in this job, folks. It's not a part-time job. There's more work that's coming. Thank you.
Alex Jones, yes, technology is very important. If you don't upgrade your technology, you're going to be without. How else are you going to keep up with all your inmates? How else are you going to know where to go, who you need to go pick up? Absolutely need it. But I want to go back to something that Mr. Hatfield said a minute ago about the Sheriff's Office of Kentucky State Police transporting their inmates over to Whitley County Detention Center. I see that as a huge problem. You let somebody break in your house at 3 o'clock in the morning and have the only deputy that's working respond to Whitley County to drop somebody off, and you live in the opposite end of the county, let that happen. See how many times that will happen. Thank you.
Well, it's just happening. He's talking about, deputies will transport to Whitney County. I mean, I don't see no problem with that. They've got plenty of help. And the county pays for 6 deputies. And they got several volunteers. I mean, if we're going to do litter abatement stuff, they'll have to do transport. We can't do both. You can't have a crew out here on the road doing litter abatement, and then you get a call for a transport officer. That just won't work out. And what's your question there, Darlene?
It was about technology, what technology?
Well, we've got A1 technology. I said, everything goes through fiscal court. All this stuff does, the billing, get the gas money back on these transports. Everything is run through fiscal court when you've got a closed jail. And they've got the most top quality computers they are. I mean,
Cody Stevens, excuse me, technology it's lacking in the jailer's office. I intend on applying for as many grants as we can get, try to update our technology. Like Mr. Jones said, we need more computers, body cams, tasers. There's just an assortment of technology that's lacking that we need. We can get, but the work has to be put in to get it. The grants have to be put in. We have to fight for those. I'm willing to do that if elected. What Mr. Alex Jones has said, I agree with him. I feel like the transport officers and the jailers, that is our responsibility to transport. If my transport officers cannot show up to transport, I will get up and do it myself. I don't feel like tying up our law enforcement resources is a good idea because it is only 20 minutes away, that is true. But if you get over there and you have a medical emergency en route or at the jail and you have to transport them to the hospital, now you have a law enforcement asset that's tied up with that inmate. And you may not have anybody else available or a hard time finding anybody to cover your shift.
What's the question?
We're done.
I think
Did
we're
everybody
done.
answer that one? Technology? Everybody answer that?
Yeah.
Keep me straight, guys, keep me straight, sir. Okay. More minute, okay. Let's do, we can do 2 minutes on this one. Because I had a lot, these questions, so you guys know, back in November, I put out to the public, hey, send me your questions. So most of these questions are, you know, either directly from the citizens or the citizens will ask the question 10 different ways and I try to consolidate it into one question. So, but this was a big one that people asked, not just the jailers, but to everybody, okay? I mean, all the debates. This was a big one. What would you do as jailer to make your office become more transparent? And we'll do 2 minutes on that.
Alex Jones. So I've touched on this a little bit about the policies and procedures. I have not seen a policy and procedure for the jailer's office. I've seen one for county employees. There's a big difference. So of course there's that. We've spoke about the in-car video system. That's another transparent issue that we have. I plan on having in-car video, a policy and procedure manual, so that way when something happens with one of our inmates, when one of our officers allows something to happen or doesn't allow it to happen, but it happens, we can go back and correct them. Without that, we're just a losing battle. Right now, there's nothing in place that says that if you have an escaped inmate, what to do. I've created one of those. Like I said, transparency is going to be a key factor. If you elect me, you can come to my office at any time and I will give you a copy of the policy and procedure manual that each and every employee will have, each new hire will have. Thank you.
well, I think we are transparent. I mean, if you got any questions or anything, you can come to the jailer's office. I'll give you whatever papers you're looking for or whatever you need or whatever you're asking for. I mean, we are transparent. And him talking about these inmates, they're afraid they get over there and have to take one to the hospital, tie them up for a long time. If they've got somebody sitting over here at the sheriff's office, they need to go to the hospital, I'm not accepting them because that'd be a big bill in on for the county to pay. The sheriff's department will take them to the hospital themselves if they need to go because I won't sit nobody that needs to go to the hospital. And that's all I got to say.
Cody Stevens. Transparency is something that's very important to me. I will have every meeting, fiscal court meeting of the month, I will be there. I will let the county know how many arrests was made, how many transports was made, when the litter abatement program kicks up, how many bags of trash was picked up, what roadways was picked up, cemeteries maintained. Let the county and the public know that. Plan on maintaining an active Facebook page so the county can keep track of everything that's going on. Have an open door policy. If anyone needs to talk to me about any issues going on with inmates inside the facility, or any complaints lodged against transport officers that needs to be made, I will look into those and investigate those. The public will know what's going on if I'm elected, because transparency is something that has to happen.
This is Derek Jones. There's a lot that's got to happen with transparency to Jailer's office. As times change, the office must change along with it. And one of the things is being community oriented, which also includes keeping the public informed of what's going on in their office, letting them know that your officers are being trained, letting them know where your prisoners are located at. Just a numerous amount of logistics would go into all this. I have found funding and a grant resource to build a new website for the Jailer's office. It's not going to cost us nothing. I have to work it out with the organization that I met at the Chamber of Commerce. And also social media is real big, and it's only getting bigger. Be active on social media, keeping the public updated. Also have an open door policy. I mentioned earlier, I want to restructure and reorganize jailer operations, and transparency is part of it. As I got a copy right here, this is Knox County Detention Center, it's an employee handbook, and this is a policy and procedures manual. Every jail in Commonwealth, Kentucky is required to have them. It's part of the jail standards. I'm going to draft, well, I've already have half of it drafted to bring us into DOC compliance. But once it gets drafted, it's got to be approved. It's got to be added to the administrative schedule with the County Judge of Texas Office of Fiscal Court. And you got to send a copy of the Department of Corrections. So there's a lot of work that has to be done just to bring us into compliance. And once we come into compliance, then Department of Corrections will help us out with other matters such as utilizing the holding cells in the courthouse and maybe a future, correctional facility here in McCreary County. Thank you.
You ready to answer that? Let's do a quick 1 minute on this one, and then we'll make sure we have time to close. This is a citizen's question. How do you feel about the sentiment that a prison system treats inmates too kindly? Again, this is a citizen's question. How do you feel about the sentiment that a prison system treats inmates too kindly? 1 minute. Who's first?
Can you repeat that?
I'm reading it exactly how it came to me. How do you feel about the sentiment that the prison system treats inmates too kindly?
Okay. To be honest with you, we would have no control over how the jails treat our inmates as far as kindness-wise. If they're mistreating our inmates, then that, as a jailer, I'm going to step in and I'm going to handle that. However, and the fiscal court will also agree, I'm sure, we'll handle that. But I mean, if they're being too nice to inmates, I'm not sure what they mean by that as far as too many privileges, or the jailer sets his own regulations at his facility of rec time and privileges that the inmates have. We would not be able to control that aspect as the jailer without a facility.
This is Derek Jones. I'm saying that we're going to kill them with kindness or something like that. I mean, there's a code of conduct for our personnel. You have every jail, as Cody mentioned, and every jail is different. Every jail operates its facility differently. and most of them have a code of conduct, and I plan on having a code of conduct for my employees. But I also want to work with the judge executive on our contracts with the holding facilities that we keep our prisoners to ensure our people are being treated properly and that they do have access to legal services. They are making their meals, they're meeting them jail standards that the state requires these jails to meet. So if they're stuck in court all day, they're going to get fed. There's no skipping the meals. So with Knox County, they have a reputation, I should say. They call it hard knocks. And for 6 years, working for Jesse Hatfield,
Alex Jones. So to answer this question, I'm going to have to say that I won't have any control over how another administration operates their facility. But what I will have control over is being able to go over and see our inmates, ensure that they're getting the adequate stuff that they need, their food. Again, there's a big on food. They'll get their food, and they will be able to talk to me and tell me any concerns or problems that they have. Speaking of food, I will ensure that our inmates have food on long court days when they come over to our courthouse for court. Thank you.
Well, first off, Knox County got the contract to house their inmates. Knox County does a wonderful job. I mean, Knox County, if they're good all week and stuff, keep their cell clean and everything. They get a free cigarette on Friday, and also they get pizza on Friday. And Knox County's better to them than any jail I've ever known. And I mean, you can ask my inmates about that. I mean, they're fantastic. And about starving inmates to death, we ain't never starved the first inmate here. They eat over at the jail at 8 o'clock before we leave. They get a full course breakfast. And most of the time, we're back at the jail before their lunch. Sometimes we might be 2 hours late, get there by 2 o'clock. So they ain't nobody going hungry. And we used to bring them sack lunches, but they got to stopping the commodes up at the courthouse every time they come over here and cause a big problem for the courthouse. So we quit bringing sack lunches. But they are an inmate that's been starved yet.
Everybody answer that one? Okay, now we're going to move to closing arguments. What I want to do is, there's two questions. What I'm been doing is combining these two questions into a closing argument. So in your closing arguments of why people should elect you, try to remember to include this. What do you think makes a good jailer? And then elect what would make you a good jailer? And why do you want to be jailer and feel that you're most qualified? So what makes a good jailer? Why would that be you? And what makes you the most qualified? That kind of thing. So 2 minutes closing, 2 minutes each. Who's closest? Okay. 2 minutes.
this is Derek Jones. As I mentioned before, this is my third campaign for McCreary County Jailer. In my previous campaigns, I wasn't beaten by my opponent. I was beaten by the vote majority here in McCreary County. And during those previous campaigns, my agendas was similar. I wanted to restructure, reorganize the jailer operations. I wanted to bring us into DOC compliance and utilize the holding cells at the courthouse, which I still want to do now. And in the previous campaigns, I wanted to refurbish our old jail. Unfortunately, we can't do that now. That building has rotted to the ground. So we have to deal with the issues that we have now. We've been talking about this for almost over a year now, and there's a lot of things that I feel needs to happen here to make our jailer office more professional, more courteous, more community oriented. And as jailer, I can also have access to taking care of our people better and be more actively involved in making our office more professional. Thank you.
Alex Jones, and I'm going to keep this really short and to the point. I want to improve the fact that our inmates are not properly transported with the proper equipment locked. When they go to court, they do not have all of their equipment locked. I also want to do the home incarceration, which is a revenue for the county. It will not be an issue to have that here in this county instead of having a third party outsource. Why not keep the money in-house? I also want to do the litter abatement and the mowing the cemeteries. That's going to be a benefit not only to our people, but to the people that are coming to do those jobs, because they're going to get some gratification out of it. There's so much that can be done, and there's so little that has been done. And I can assure you that when I'm elected, I will do all of my paperwork, make sure every inmate is here for court, and I'll do it the way it's supposed to be. Remember to vote for me, May 19th, Alex Jones, number 6 on the ballot.
I'm Jesse Hatfield, I run for jail in McCreary County, and I think I've done a wonderful job transporting. This is my 4th term, running for my 4th term as election. And on this ankle monitor stuff, we've been doing it for 11 and a half years. And also, we've been doing bonds for 11 and a half years. It ain't nothing new. People think this stuff's new, and a lot of this stuff these people's talking about, it's for a full-service jail. It ain't even for a closed jail. We've got a closed jail. They still don't understand that, but they will if they was to get elected. But I think my supporters will vote for me for jailer, and I'll get another 4th term as jailer. And I'd like for all my supporters to vote for me on May the 19th for jailer in McCreary County. And we'll continue to do the service we're doing without any complaints.
Cody Stevens, Republican candidate, number 4 on the ballot. Appreciate your vote, May 19th. My main goal, I want to make the jailer's office as efficient as I can, as transparent as I can, as professional as I can, and well and highly trained. There's grants that's not been applied for that can be. There's training that's not been provided that can be. And quite frankly, it puts inmates at risk, it puts transport officers at risk, and it can put the public at risk. I'd like to reference, also, I'm aware that we have a closed jail. I think we all are. Lincoln County Jailer's Office. Lincoln County is also a county that does not have a facility. However, their jailer does a wonderful job. He does litter abatement. He picks inmates up and does all of these programs that we were talking about while not having or maintaining a jail. So not having a jail does not prevent us from doing litter abatement, cemetery cleanup, or any of these other programs. As long as we are close, as in at Whitley County, that is very feasible, something that can be done. Other counties are doing it now, there's no reason we cannot. If I'm elected, I will fight for you. I will do everything I can to save the taxpayers' money while making the jailer's office more efficient, more safe, and well-trained.
Everybody did a closing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Folks, I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is not easy to come up here because not everybody shows up. And I think you need to that needs to be put in the back of the voters' mind, the people who don't show up to these debates. These guys showed up. This is not easy to have somebody like me stick a microphone in your face, put a bunch of cameras in your face, and say, answer these questions. These guys deserve a round of applause. They all did a good job. How about a round of applause for our live studio audience tonight for coming out? We want to thank Josh Lowe, Attorney Josh Lowe, our Assistant County Attorney, for being my time tonight. And Michael, the magical technical guy here, for keeping up on it. How about a round of applause for our viewers on Facebook and our folks at NBR TV and Steve Hall, all the folks there. Thank you very much. And next week we have magistrates. We had to reschedule, which is 1 and 2. It's 1 and 2. Sorry, keep me straight. Magistrates 1 and 2 debate next Monday. Hopefully it won't snow or anything. We'll have to reschedule them again. So we will see you next Monday on Truth or Politics. Thanks.